Welcome back to this new series about the Tesla of health. In this series, we're going to take the amazing and incredible example of Tesla and the transformation and the victory, the unbelievable victory Tesla achieved in changing the world, to learn something about another big segment of our society, and that is the future of health. And the idea of the series that came to me is like, well, we have this one example of a company and Elon where something incredible happened. Can we learn from that and derive some principles and insights that help us transform an even more important area of society? And this series will have 3 videos. The first one is this one, where we talk about the 3 hidden secrets behind Tesla's success. And it's not the obvious, which is Elon, but the 3 hidden secrets that make Elon so successful. The second video will then go into the master plan for the Tesla of health, the master plan to end death. And that's going to be a very exciting one. And finally, the third one will talk about the dark, dark secret of pioneer capital, the capital that makes great innovation happen, and why the secret is so dark. But before we get there, let's start in the here and now with this first video. Now, in order to make this Tesla of health idea a thing, we need to understand what's truly behind the success of Tesla. And before we go into that, I want to just recap quickly why Tesla is such an important example that is so inspiring and is changing our perception of innovation progress so much. Like, think about that. We have a company in early 2000s, where a guy named Elon Musk said, there's this little company, Tesla. I'm going to invest some money in that and make EVs a thing. Now you have to understand, back then, that was not a normal thought people had. Everyone thought you were completely nuts. This is completely impossible. And if it would be so easy, why wouldn't the entire OEM and auto industry already do it? And then what we saw is, against all odds, how Tesla went from a private company that had no funding, where Elon put it all together, into becoming public, was constantly attacked and mocked by everyone. And that extends all the way to today, absurdly, right? Initiated the EV transformation, initiated a global new industry, destroyed the entire automotive industry, which is not a small industry, against the resistance of the mainstream media, Wall Street analysts, and enormous existing auto companies. And not just that, Elon and Tesla are not stopping now. They're introducing FSD, full self-driving. By end of the year of 2024, we will have full self-driving across multiple nations and continents. Like, imagine that. And it will change the way we do transportation at large on a scale that is truly staggering, and will multifold the market for transportation, while truly making free transportation, near free or low-cost transportation for everyone a reality, and removing traffic jams, now the whole thing. And not just that, there is another big thing. Elon also invented, or Tesla invented, the humanoid robot and made it a thing. It's not here yet, but it's coming very soon. And that is an uncapped market opportunity. In the first step, a $30 trillion labor market that's going to be replaced by robots, and then grown tremendously. So this is why Tesla is such an important example. This is a crazy transformation, nearly as crazy as ending death. And we can learn from that transformation. Now we have looked a little bit at the history of Tesla and why it's such an important blueprint, maybe the only blueprint for targeted transformation. Now, when we think about what's really behind the success of Tesla, of course, one name, one person pops up right away. And it creates this, what I call the Elon Musk narrative, or the alien Elon narrative, where our explanation, and that's an important word, explanation. What is the explanation of this whole Tesla crazy victory over the entire universe? What is the explanation? And this explanation, the default explanation of everyone is like, it's Elon. Elon is exceptional. Elon is 1 in 8 billion. Or Elon is an alien. I mean, that's a little bit, not completely serious, that comment, but it shows you something. People think maybe he's not human. He's a magician. He can do things no one else can do. And I think that is a dangerous and flawed explanation, because it prevents us from doing big things. Here's why. When we say Elon is this magic leader who made it all randomly happen, and there is no explanation other than Elon being exceptional. We are falling short. Actually, I think we are violating the one rule that Elon tries to explain to everyone, that we need to be first principle thinkers, and we need to understand the foundations of the universe, and we need to understand cause and effect on a first principle level, and we should not think in analogies. And here's why thinking it's all Elon, and thinking Elon is the alien who made it all happen and we can never figure out how. That is actually thinking in analogies, because you think the only way to transform healthcare or education or cities and living can only be done by another Elon, thinking in analogies. Elon did it, so another Elon has to do the other thing. That's not smart. What we need to do, if we want to make progress here, if we want to transition and transform the world in a way that Tesla did in its industries and verticals, we need to dig deeper and understand the second layer, the hidden secrets behind Tesla's and Elon's success. That is what we are going to do now. And here is my take on it. The first hidden secret behind Tesla's and Elon's success. When Elon set out to do this, he published something that he called, half jokingly, but not really, the master plan. The master plan of making EVs a thing. And that master plan was kind of simple. Let me just explain to you what that master plan looked like. And you can look it up, by the way, online. Master plan part 1. He first goes into some criticism or wrong perceptions of EVs. He says batteries are actually not toxic. Did you know that? Because back then people said it can never work, batteries are toxic. And he explained why they're actually not toxic, especially the new batteries that are in development back then. Then he goes into number 2. Electric cars do not emit the same CO2 as other cars. He talks about energy production efficiencies. So he debunks the second myth. And then he debunks the third myth, which is energy production. It's more than cars, it's about energy production. Okay? So he sets the stage in his master plan by talking about these 3 paradigms and debunking 3 myths. And then he comes up with a master plan. And that master plan is incredibly simple and incredibly genius in its simplicity. And he said, how do we create the age of sustainable transport and how do we get EV zero? 3 things. Create a sports car, the Tesla Roadster, for a few people, and it's expensive. Then use that money to build a more affordable car, the Model S, and scale it and make much more money. Then use that money to build a very affordable car, the Model 3. And then we are done. And he got to the master plan part 2, a decade later. Now, why is this plan so ingenious? Because when you think about how do we transition an entire nearly $1 trillion industry into the future and transform everything, 10 billion things come to mind. But no, a master plan points out, dudes, it's very simple. If we are staying focused, if you understand the key levers of transformation, and the key levers are 3, build the sports car, use that money to build a more affordable car, use that money to build an even more affordable car, and do nothing else but that. Why was that master plan so important? Because it aligned focus of investors, of employees. It was crystal clear, a vision that can be executed. It didn't sound crazy. It did sound actually very doable. And that is why it's the first secret. The first secret is you need a master plan. That master plan needs to be easy, simple, first principle based, and it needs to be true in its transformational power. And the master plan is so important because the master plan also unlocks the second big secret, the second hidden secret of Tesla. And that second big secret is what I call the Masterplan Community. Now, let me explain. The Tesla community, why is it so incredibly important? People just talk about fanboys and stuff like that. They don't understand that the Tesla community is an incredibly foundational part of this transformation to this day and into the future. Let's go back to the early days of Tesla, Model S got launched. Model S had many problems. No surprise. But Model S, there was a whole press coverage of Model S, fires, that they caught fires, and there were 3 Model S, and it was all over the media, and everyone said, oh my God, this is crazy. They're so dangerous, these cars. They had manufacturing issues and, these gaps, panel gaps, and people were really pissed about it. But guess what? The early customers of Model S's and Teslas in general, they were coming to the defense of these cars and of Tesla. And why? Because of the Masterplan, because it was a strong community. The same is true for the Model 3. If you think back to 2018, it was a giant, I'm not going to say the word, but crap show. It was bad. There was manufacturing delays. There were quality issues all over the place. There were bumpers falling off Model 3s. Everything was like totally makeshift. And that's not to criticize anything. This is how it goes. This is disruptive innovation. You need to do this, but you need a community of buyers, of customers, of stock investors, of YouTubers who come to your defense and say, look, guys, we're working on something incredibly important here. It's a miracle that we even have the Model S and then the Model 3. Don't be stupid and criticize little things like panel gaps. No one cares. We are on a journey together as a community of supporters who makes the transformation into sustainable transport happen. That is the second super secret, a hidden secret. And now think about how important that community was also in the public perception. Think about the YouTubers who saved Elon and Tesla again and again. It was the customers, but it was also the YouTubers. I got accustomed to the whole thing through Gally at Hyperchange, Galileo Russell. Amazing dude. He was just a little student in New York who started ranting about Tesla on YouTube, but he was so smart. He knew everything about it. He leveled up from 1,000 subscribers all the way being invited to CNBC and finally being invited by Elon to the earnings call. How crazy is that? We have solving the money problem and Stephen Mark Ryan, who's ranting very funny rants on all the Tesla critics and stuff like that. And he became famous. Both of them made tremendous amounts of money by investing in Tesla, following their own predictions. We have Herbert Ong, we have Best in Tesla, we have the Electric Viking, we have Electrek. We have all these very cool YouTubers who know so much more than any analyst knows about Tesla, who are so much smarter in making these predictions. These YouTubers, destroyed the mainstream media. CNBS, as Stephen Mark Ryan tends to say, the New York Times and all these people who don't know much about Tesla and write like these bad things. They had stabilized the stock price. That's the power of the community and of the YouTubers. They educated and schooled institutional investors. And so they made a tremendous difference. That shows you how powerful this community can be and how important. I think it's completely underrated. But the community is not just YouTubers and not just customers. It's also investors. I'm going to talk about this a little bit more, but a few investors who still didn't lead the whole thing, by the way. That was Elon. But at least who joined Elon in making it happen before it was public. Antonia Gracias of Vela Equity, he took a risk. Sergey Brin and Larry Page, even though they don't like, Elon and them have problems with AI now. Jeff Skoll, the eBay founder, Nick Pritzker, the Hired Heir, Steve Jurvetson, they actually joined Elon funding Tesla at the early days. So they took risks. They were smart cookies and they were bold. It was high risk. Not many investors did this, but these were pioneer capital people who did something because they were excited about the master plan. And then later in public markets, Chamath Palihapitiya, Ron Barron, and of course, Kathy Woods, who now come to Elon's defense and really make a lot of money by being smarter than the rest. So they're also part of the community. And we know that many of them know the YouTubers, right? They're all connected. It's an interconnected thing. And together, they're bonding into a community that comes to the defense of Tesla and the master plan. And that dynamic is incredibly powerful and important. I think it's underrated. That's why it's the two big hidden secrets of Tesla's success. But there's a third one. And that third one I touched on a little bit, but I want to emphasize that. And before I go into the third secret, I can tell you I work in healthcare innovation, right? That's why I'm doing the Tesla of health. I see all these problems, and I had enough time to understand what are the real causes of delay and the real causes that kill innovation in healthcare and medicine. And that third one might be the biggest one. Maybe it's community too, but this third one, very important. We have tremendous technology in medicine and in healthcare that is not getting to patients. It's not getting rolled out. Technology that could make trillions of dollars. It could save hundreds of millions of people over a decade. It's crazy. This exists, no problem, except for one. It's not getting funding. And that brings me to something really interesting. I started thinking, why is this our problem in healthcare? Why does true disruptive technology that is clearly life-saving and has tremendous business models, what else do you want? Why does it not get funded? And then I thought, as a Tesla, analyst that I am, I started thinking, what happened with Tesla? How did Tesla do it? So I started digging into the early days of Tesla. Who funded this whole thing? Who gave Elon the money to do it? So Tesla, before it went public in 2010, had a Series A in 2004, a Series B in 2005, a next round in 2006, and a next round and a debt financing in 2008. So it had 4 rounds of early stage or private capital. Now, who funded that? Who took the lead on these rounds? Right? So in private capital, you need a lead investor. The rest then follows if you have a bunch of smart cookies that I mentioned. But who took the lead? Who was the decisive, domino that made it all happen? Well, let's look into that. 2004 Series A Tesla. Who did it? A guy named Elon Musk put in his own money. He was the lead. Okay. Who was it in 2005 for Series B? Who led the Series B of Tesla? Well, a guy called Elon Musk took his own money in and took the lead and then brought the others in. Wow. Who did it in 2006, the next round of Tesla? Who was the investor who stepped up and said, okay, fine, Elon invested all that money. We made great progress. We need a little bit more funding to push it forward. The vision of electrification of cars. Who was that pioneer? It's a guy called Elon Musk. Who was the guy finally in the 4th private round in 2008 who said, okay, there are 3 rounds by Elon. We made all this progress. We are that close to an IPO. This will change everything forever. It was a no-brainer. So who stepped up? Who was the one pioneer who then came in and helped Elon? Well, it's a guy called Elon Musk. Think about that. Tesla would have died, hardcore died, 4 times before IPO. Hardcore, if it couldn't raise the money. And it got saved by one lead investor 4 times. And that lead investor was Elon Musk. In my opinion, not to detract from Elon's ability as an engineer, as a reality engineer, visionary to create the master plan and everything, that is his most important role. I tell you from my own experience. He put in $70 million of his own money as a lead investor over 4 early stage rounds all the way to IPO. No one does that. These kinds of investors don't exist. And do you know what that means? All innovation is getting murdered before it can become a public company. If such an obvious thing like a transformative electric car revolution is not getting funded, what do you think about everything else? That is the dark secret. And there's an even darker secret that I will go in the third part of this video series about the darkest secret of Pioneer Capital. But that is probably Elon's greatest achievement, that he was the pioneer capitalist who went in and actually did that. Let that sink in. Okay, so now you have the 3 big secrets of Tesla's success. It is the creation of a foundational master plan that was simple and true. It was the building of an amazing, strong community that stood with that master plan, with Tesla and with Elon when times were hard. They're still kind of hard. That said, screw all these media people and the analysts. We are with Tesla and Elon. We are buying the cars, we're buying the stock, and we defend the company against all the smears and attacks. That community is incredibly important. And number 3, there was pioneer capital to fund that great endeavor that came from Elon. We have to learn from these foundational secrets of Tesla, because that if we crack these secrets for healthcare, if we understand how to create a master plan, how to build a strong community that stands with that master plan, and how we activate and find pioneer capital, we can end death. We have all the technologies ready. There are many technologies ready. We have all the medical algorithms. We know everything how to do this. I will explain this in the next video, why I'm so bullish on this. It's crystal clear, and once you see how it works, you will totally agree. But we need these 3 pieces, otherwise it cannot happen. The same way Tesla could have never happened without these 3 pieces. And if there's one great achievement of Elon, then it is that. That is his 3 big secrets, that he was able to do that. He came up with a master plan. He rallied the community, even though the community also rallied around him, so it's a mutual thing. And he organized the capital, starting with himself. That's why Elon looks like an alien, because he was able to do that. But now we know the secrets, and it's time to get to work. So if you want to see the second part, where we go into the actual master plan and solve one of the secrets of health, the master plan to end death, subscribe so you're first to see it, or click here if it's already up. See you then.